Okay, now that you've had a chance to learn a little bit about the material editor and adding pictures to your objects, making them look a little bit more real, let's take a look at what you can do with your own space. So once again, these are just my couple of examples, and there's going to be a few tips along the way, so you should watch both videos all the way through. But you should be doing your own things. This is your time to play a little bit, be a little bit creative. Okay, so that being said, let's take a look here. So here's the space. As you know, it's sort of like that office looking space. And here it is with some materials put on it. Here is the church. And here it is with the materials. Much more dramatic, of course. So how do we go about doing it? Okay, starting with the building itself. So opening up my material editor, we'll see that I just have a multi-sub object labeled it buildings, and one is for the walls, and it's just got a picture that I found in the images. You'll see that I've tiled it a little bit so that it would cover the wall. It's kind of a nice creamy color. And here for the floor, once again tiling it a little bit, and it's just tiles, and we can see that the floor is in fact tiled just like so. Do a quick render of it. Note also that the tile has a bump map on it right here. You see I've logged that into the bump, and if I were to look at the material itself and look at the maps, we'd see that that bump's only at 30%. I wonder if we could see any difference. So it's at 30 right now, and what if we raised it up to 100 on that? Would we see any difference? I'm kind of curious. Okay, so here it is. And if we were to render it again, the bump does really make a big difference. Okay, and then we can see the walls over here. Let's see if we can't get a better view of those walls. And if we look really close, we can see the tiling on here, but it's not too bad. And it's given me, it's one of the marble textures, I believe, and it's given me a nice sort of texture for the walls. Because, look around you, the walls in your buildings and your houses and stuff like that, generally speaking, are not absolutely flat. So now let's take a look at the chair, and you can see that I've got cloth on the chair. And so if I was to take a look at that texture here, so it's just a standard, and you can see I've got my bitmap here, and as we look at it, no tiling on it either. But I will bet that we have a material map on here. In other words, a UVW map. So let's click on this one. Yeah, so there's a UVW map. That's what's helping to make this go. And so as we look in the UVW map, we can see, oh yes, there is tiling. In fact, it's been tiled 3 times in each direction. Here's a trick too, is I shift edit it. So here I'm going to hold down my shift key and move it, making another chair. The new one has the same map on it as the old one with all the same parameters. So now for the pictures, let's take a look at this here. I would have just selected the polygons right here, and I would have placed the pictures on that. So let's take a look at the material editor here for that one. Okay, and there it is. And so here is this whole thing has just a multi-sub object material on it. It's got 2 ports, and it's got the picture in port 1 right here as we see, right? And it's got this texture in 2. Now let's take a look at the texture. This one is tiled 2.5 in one direction, and I believe that's all the tiling that there is on that. There's nothing in the UVW map. In fact, this one doesn't have a UVW map on it. And here's the picture right here. I guess I just figured that it was good enough. Anyway, so I'd put the picture here, and then to select this on the outside, here's a nice little trick for you, is I'd go here to my edit, and I'd say select invert. So now you can see it's just selected the things that weren't selected, made the opposite selection. So let me show you what I did to get all the pictures on these other ones, because it's just a little bit different than the chair because these all have different pictures. Okay, and so what I did was I just went ahead and first I selected this whole material, the whole thing, and just like so many things, I can shift copy this, so I held down my shift key, brought that up, and that brings everything with it, all the tiling, for example, everything, and just went ahead and placed it on my new picture. And in fact, I did that for a bunch of things, and just like before, when I made multiples of chairs and stuff like that, now I could select 2, and I could just hold down my shift key and bring up 2, and now I've got 4. And so if I had that, I could go ahead and I could do that again and again, and then I could just keep assigning those to the various pictures. You'll see that the show view right here, right, show material in the viewport, that's clicked on the original one is not present in the other one. So we would have to go ahead and click on that, click on this, go ahead and select the ID, and then I would go to Edit and select Invert. And that gives me my picture with the picture frame and the picture in it. And so that's all good, but I wanted a different picture. Let me just show you on another map. Unhook this image here. I could even just get rid of it and bring in, let's say, a new image. Oh, I don't know. How about this one right here, for instance? Just going to drag that in, plug that in, and there we have it. Well, now we have the new image in here, but you can see it's cut off her head. And the other one, I don't think I put the UVW map in here, but I think with this one I will, just so I can show you that. So I'll go and I've got polygons, and I'm going to select the polygons here that I want. And with these polygons selected, then I'll put the UVW map. Because remember, the UVW map will map the polygons, well, that are selected, which is kind of nice. And at first it looks like horribly bad, but I'll change the gizmo to a box, and now you can see it looks a lot better, and her head is no longer being cut off. And so with that, take a look. Looks just right. And so at this point, what I could do then is I could collapse the stack just like so, and I've got this one all mapped out. Back to our perspective view here. Now I would have to do that for all the paintings, but it really wouldn't take that long, and I'll just show you what that looks like in yet another version. So here it is with the paintings on it. If we were to take a look at the material editor, you can see that I've just got a whole string of these paintings. There's a painting, there's a painting, there's a painting, and they've all got UVW maps on them. And they've all are showing in there, and they all have just a different image. They're all the same except for that different image. So that's the office. And as we can see, it wasn't too tough. It's just here's the materials for the building itself. Simple multi-sub with a couple of things, a little bit of tiling with the UVW map, the chairs. Now the trick about the chairs was that I set it up, and since the chairs are all identical, then I'd just gotten rid of the other copies of the chairs and just shift copied one of the chairs, and that brought the material along with it with the UV map and everything, so it was great. And then for the paintings, what I had to do was I went ahead and I just made duplicates of this one, made a bunch of copies of it, assigned them to all the different paintings, and then I had to do them all where I would switch the picture, add a UVW map, and but it really wasn't that hard. Okay, so that's it. I'm excited to see what you do with yours. go ahead and go on to the next video and see how I did the church.